All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Joe Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thank you so much for listening to all of our great shows. And if you get a chance and you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us that 5-star review, on Apple Podcasts that helps us get us more available to Lakers fans everywhere so they can hear everything that's going on with the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Well, thank you so much for allowing us to take a little bit of a Thanksgiving break. Wanted to go ahead and thank all my guests so far this season, and it's because I'm so thankful for having them on the show. But we're back once again to talk about a lot of major stuff because December is here, and I've got a lot of things to discuss with LakerTom. And as someone who's very concerned about the road ahead, I want to hear the optimism this guy shares so much on each and every episode because it gets me pumped up for what's going on with the Lakers. He's the man behind Lakerholics.net. Please, you got to be a part of the conversation today if you're a Lakers fan. That's Lakerholics.net. Tom, Jamie Sweet, my contributions with the podcast. There's so many other great people a part of the Lakerholics.net community. You got to be a part of it. You got to be a part of it today. It is my good friend LakerTom, aka Tom Wong. See how I reversed it this time? It's usually the other way around.
How you doing, Gerald? Have a nice Thanksgiving?
What I could go ahead and put through a feeding tube because I had my wisdom teeth pulled out on Wednesday, so it was kind of like, everything was soft and mushy. But as I told you before we went on the podcast today, I was going to go ahead and gut it out because my head still feels like it took a charge from LeBron.
That's exactly how a charge from LeBron probably feels.
Yes, indeed. But
I'm a Niner fan as well as a Laker fan, so Sunday was a tough day to go through.
Yes, that was a double ouch for you. But you know what? Things could be worse for the Niners being 10-2 and the Lakers being 17-3. Okay, things could be worse out there. But we're going to go ahead and delve into the show, some of the major questions, because the month of December is now here. There's no more looking on the horizon. There's no more, down the road, what happens, what if. And the Lakers did not get off December to a good note, per se, because their second half against the Dallas Mavericks was atrocious by any standards of any, however you want to weigh it. Their defense, their offense, just nothing seemed to click in the second half after they had a 3-point lead going into the half. So with the Dallas Mavericks, give them all the credit in the world. They are a team, and I will talk about this hopefully soon with TJ Johnson because I know he wants to talk about Luka, and the fact that he's doing so well that he's carrying Dallas to reality. They are a legit team at this point in time, and if you don't take them seriously, things like the second half of the Lakers game can happen. But before we go ahead and get into December and some of the things that I've been really wanted to talk to you about, as a sign of optimism for the Lakers fans out there, I want to hear your thoughts on the game itself. Where did it all go wrong for the Lakers against the Dallas Mavericks?
Well, I think the third quarter obviously was a terrible quarter. I mean, it started off bad and it just got perpetually worse, and we went to a 20-point deficit at certain points in time. And I think some of the things that happened in the third quarter are reflections of what went on in the first 17 wins that we had. The two biggest failures, I thought, were, number one, not attacking the rim, settling for 3-point shots. The last 10 games before we played the Mavericks, we had been leading the league at 42% of 3-point shooting. And we shot in that third quarter there just like we thought we were still leading the league, and we missed most of them. The second thing that killed us, and it's something that is really, if you talk about concerns that I have going forward, the biggest concern I have going forward is our rebounding. The Lakers rank 17th in rebounding. And when you consider that you've got LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, there's no way you should be even middle of the pack in rebounding. You should be one of the best rebounding teams in the league. I mean, we lead the league in block shots. We lead the league in having the fewest block shots against us. So there's a missing link in our power game, and both in attacking the basket and rebounding well. I didn't count the number of 3-point shots that the Mavericks made after getting a second or third offensive rebound. But there were numerous times when that just killed us. But looking at all of that, I still think that the reality of what it is that you can't win all the time. This is a great league, and Luka Doncic, there are 3 teams that are just kicking themselves in the rear for not drafting that guy number 1. If they could do that over, there's no question that he was, a chance to get a LeBron-esque superstar, and the Mavericks were able to pull that off. And to think that they did it in a trade is even bigger credit to them for having had the foresight to pull that deal off. But it's just one game, and you have to remember, everybody's talking about all that's happening, and this happens with the Lakers all the time. The news is just nothing but disaster. Lakers soft schedule catching up with them, et cetera, et cetera. Reality setting in for the Lakers. 2 days ago, the Spurs upset the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the lineup. Kawhi went 8 for 23. George went 2 for 10. Lou Williams went 2 for 11. And they lost to the Spurs, for God's sakes. Nobody said anything about that. And yet the Lakers lose a game to the Mavericks, only the 3rd loss of the year, and it's like the earth is falling. I think the response that LeBron and AD have, both of them coming out and saying that the Lakers are not going to lose 2 games in a row the rest of the year, is exactly what they need to do. It's a blessing in disguise, in my opinion, because you have to have these games to bring teams back to reality that you're not going to go 82-0 or 69-3 or some crazy record like that. The players are too good, and human nature is just such that, after a while, you just think you can't lose. You think you can turn it on anytime you can. And when the Lakers got behind by 20, I was still thinking, oh, maybe they can turn it on and do it. They had one little streak where they cut it down to 12, and then I can't remember who it was, but somebody missed a layup that they should have made. I think it was Rondo or Danny Green missed a layup that he should have made. And then that just turned around and drove a 5-point swing around as they came down and hit a 3. So it's just one game. Remember last time we lost, we turned around and had a 10-game win streak. The time before that we lost, we turned around and had a 7-game win streak. I think we'll turn around and have a win streak again this time. I don't know if it'll go 7 or 10 games, but I definitely don't think that we're going to be falling into a hole like the rest of the world seems to think.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because the rest of the world for some time now has said, okay, look at the schedule in December. Look at the schedule in December. I've listened to every podcast that's out there. I've listened to every NBA show that's on NBA Sirius XM, and all these pundits and all these experts and all these individuals out there that are covering the NBA, the reporters and they're all saying, okay, wait until December, because you've got one of the hardest, if not the most difficult schedule out there in the NBA coming in December. You've got a lineup. In fact, this week you've got Denver, Utah, and Portland. Portland's on a hot streak. They're coming right back into the playoff mix very quickly with the addition of Carmelo Anthony. And that's something I also touch on with TJ Johnson, hopefully coming up if I get a chance, because I know he wants to talk about that as well. But I want to ask you this, my friend, because I've been hearing this for weeks now as the Lakers have continued to win and win and win against sub 500 teams. But the record against above 500 teams is 1-3. So that is a concern that it's hard to go ahead and argue against right now, because they've not done it so far against above 500 teams. So I ask you, my friend, heading into December, as a sign of optimism, you got to tell me, and you got to convince Laker fans out there that actually it is going to be okay and the Lakers will prevail. And by the end of December, at least hopefully, we'll go ahead and still have a major role in what goes on in the NBA's Western Conference.
Well, first off, I think our record against 500 teams right now is teams above 500 is 3-3. We've lost 3 games against teams that are above them, and we've beaten 3 teams that are up there. We beat the Mavs. I can't remember who the other teams were. But the record, I looked at December's record pretty closely, or December's schedule real closely. There are 14 games. 8 games are for teams that are above 500, and 6 games are for teams below 500. I did this in basically an article that I did recently, that one of the things that the Lakers need to do, since neither LeBron James nor Anthony Davis wants to participate in any kind of load management of the type that the Clippers are using with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Basically, if they're healthy, both of those guys want to play in every single game. So the only way the Lakers can get any load management is what they're doing now. Let them take it easy in practice or blow out people and be able to rest them in the fourth quarter like they did the other night. I think the Lakers are going to be fine in December. I think that they're going to, what happens, great teams basically start out the season and win the games that they have to win. The Lakers have done that. You can't blame them for having an easy schedule in November. Unlike the Clippers, who lost 3 games to teams under 500 during that period of time, including the Spurs with their full lineup there, the Lakers have been able to take care of business. That gives them a little edge because they can then afford to lose a game here and there when they're playing tough competition. I still expect them to go through, and maybe my predictions are 10-4 for the next 14 games, which would put us at 27-6, 27-7. Which would still be probably the best record in the league at that point in time. Other teams also have some tough schedules in December, but I don't think it's not as tough because there's really only a few teams that I really think are going to beat us most of the time. The Clippers, basically, I think is a toss-up. Lakers and Clippers, every time they play, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a game that if they were running a 7-game series, it's going to go to the 7th game. As good as the Mavericks played last night, I don't think if you play a 7-game series against the Mavericks, it isn't going to go 7 games. The Lakers will take that in 5 or 6 games.
And they do have a win over them. They also have a win over the
right.
Miami and Utah. So you're right. It is 3-3. I apologize for that.
So there's, so I think what everybody has to keep in mind is that great teams play to the level of their competition no matter how you try to spin it. They play better against the best teams, and often they play worse against the worst teams. The Lakers have been able to win every single game against the teams that they should beat. And to me, that's a big sign. I think that we've seen enough in those signs of the way that LeBron has played, the way AD has played. They just need to get their power game going a little more and stop relying upon the three-point shooting. And I think that they're going to do that during the next stretch of games. The rebounding is the biggest concern that I have. I want to really see them come out and dominate the boards next game. I think Vogel is a great coach, and Vogel's going to focus on that. But I think that everybody's overreacting for one loss. That's just a bad game. They came in, they basically had the worst quarter they've had all year out of 17 times 4 quarters, or 19 times 4 quarters. So in 20 games now they played 80 quarters. That third quarter was the worst quarter they had. Their defense was a step slow. But, man, the Mavs moved the ball like a championship team during those stretches. You watch that ball fly around there, and they hit their three-point shots, all of them in the clutch times. That guy, Finney-Smith, he was just unbelievable the way he was knocking down threes. And a couple of those step backs of Luka's were totally LeBron-esque. And LeBron went 0 for 5 from deep, basically, primarily because he's been shooting and hitting them all. So, you get into that game situation and you settle for it. I also thought that as we move forward, we're going to see a lot more of AD going harder to the basket. I think he's been settling for too many. He's never been a bruiser. That's not been his style, even though he's 6'11". He can dunk the ball and so forth. He's basically been a guy who's usually content to take that 12 to 15-foot jumper and even a fadeaway jumper in a situation like that. I think we want to stop doing those kind of shots and really focus. And that's what I expect is going to turn us around. Plus, I think we're going to go back to defense. That's what got us started off on this streak. We still rank 5th in defense and 6th in offense in the league and 4th in net rating. So we're still in good shape. It's just one game. And I think it's silly for Laker fans to panic over the one game.
Well, I agree with you, but there's still a lot of concern coming up because the road ahead is much tougher now for the Lakers here in December. But I'm going to tell you, they're always going to be compared to the Clippers for the rest of the season, regardless.
Sure.
That's just a given. But it will help alleviate a lot of things if they go ahead and win that matchup on Christmas.
Yep.
If they don't, then that's just going to hover.
We'll live with it till the next matchup.
Exactly. So it's just going to, just be that
We'll play them
over their heads. It's just going to hang over their heads for a while. That's what it's going to do.
We play them 4 times, so there's going to be 4 opportunities to see what happens there.
And I hope so.
And regardless of whether the Lakers win the next 3 or the Clippers win all 3 of them, that's going to be a 7-game series when they meet, and that's and it's a shame that the NBA is not going to try to seed the finals before next year, because that would the Western Conference Finals are going to be the NBA Finals. Everybody can see that right now.
But I do have a concern when it comes to, I think what I saw in the Dallas game, but also an underarching theme that's going on with a consistent third player coming off, helping support LeBron and AD. We were hoping it would be Kuzma, and there was a 5-game stretch where it looked like it was going to be Kuzma, but for the most part this season, it has not. And I'm disappointed with Kyle Kuzma's results so far. I think I can't say otherwise because it's just not been there as of yet. He's shooting just a little over 30% from the three-point area. He's only giving you about 12 to 13 points a game right now. That, and there's no one else right now that's consistently stepping up game in, game out to help support LeBron and AD. So much of the workload is on their shoulders at this point in time. And like you said, if they're not giving it 100% at all times, you're going to have in those type of quarters that we did in the third quarter, where it's just that LeBron and AD, even if they're out on the floor, are not giving you as much as they can because they're just so overloaded. So I ask you, my friend, is this a concern for Lakers fans that the Lakers have yet to find a third player to go ahead and just take some of the burden off those other 2 great players?
I remember you telling me that when I was really high on Kuzma coming back very quickly, that it was going to take Kyle some time to get his mojo together and really start to feel like the player he was last year. And I think for the last 5 or 6 games before the Mavericks game, he was doing that. He was hitting clutch shots and showing signs of that. But I think it's still going to take a couple of weeks for him to really get his legs underneath him and really start to feel comfortable. He's going to need to have some successful outings. I don't think one bad game is going to, hold him back. He's never been a guy who loses confidence very easily, if you will. He's always been pretty hyper confident guy. So I think but I do think that it is important for the Lakers to get somebody who can consistently be that third player. You can go down 5, you can win 5 or 6 or 7 games in a row easily by having a third superstar, a third star emerging from the ranks. One game it could be Bradley, next game it could be Danny Green, next game it could be Kuzma, or somebody could come off the bench and surprise with a whole bunch of points. But you really need that third. You really need that third high scorer, especially with the 2 superstars we have. And Kuzma's basically, I think, the only player on the team who can really fill that role. So if he doesn't fill that role, then that would be a concern. But I think it's too early to be panicked about that. I think what happens with teams is you go through a streak where you perform early. The Lakers got off to a great start and performed early. Then they got whacked down by the Raptors. Well, they turned around after that loss to the Raptors and really rolled through the next 10 games. Now they got knocked down by the Mavs. So the question is, it's up to the Lakers to basically take it upon themselves to take their game to another level. And that's what great teams do. If we don't do that, then we're not a great team. So it just comes down to whether or not you believe the Lakers have the capability of doing that. I think a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the supporting cast that Rob Pelinka's put together and the way the coaching staff has gotten everybody on the same page, I think we're a great team and we're going to respond to that. And so there's nothing more that you can say about it until tomorrow night when we play the Nuggets. They have 6 losses. We have 3 losses. So it's a matchup in Mile High in Denver, which is very often a tough matchup to go. One of the things, too, I thought about the Mavericks game that was something that you never really know what happens is an afternoon game. Those afternoon games, after everybody is so used to playing every evening, can really have a different effect sometimes. And I think that was true of the Lakers. I don't know whether they were looking ahead at the road trip or what. They finished that third quarter, and even at the finished that second quarter with that 3-point lead with a great play for LeBron at the end. And you almost had to wonder there, you saw the first little signs of LeBron. I saw a few clips from Twitter of LeBron sort of chewing out Danny Green for not hustling back, jogging back and missing a layup. So those are the signs that if you're not a great team and you don't have great coaching and great leadership from your superstars, they'll start to fall apart. And they'll start to basically continue to play at the same level, which as the schedule gets tougher and the league starts to understand everybody, then you don't perform as well. So you have to take your game to another level. You have to elevate your play at various points and times in the season. The Lakers have had 2 situations where they've done that. Now this is the 3rd situation. And if they do that, I think people will then put them back up on top. If they don't do it, then the concerns that you and a few other people may have could turn into a reality. But it's awful hard for me to lose confidence in LeBron James' ability to get the team motivated and go out there and to contribute to winning the game in Denver and then taking the game in Utah. And I'm not actually really worried about Portland compared to those other 2 teams. So we'll see what happens. I think we're going to win at least the next 3 games, and I think we're going to win that road trip. We're going to sweep that road trip and come home, and that'll shut up all of the boo birds and the worriers.
Once again, I'm speaking to Tom Wong, a.k.a. LakerTom from LakerHolics.net. You got to be a part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.net, where he, Jamie Sweet, and so many other great people are part of the LakerHolics.com community. You got to be a part of today, LakerHolics.com. And before we head on out, LakerTom, I want to ask you real quick, what's going on at LakerHolics.net? And just tell us exactly what's going on with all the great stuff, the great conversations, and why people should be a part of LakerHolics.net.
Well, it's been pretty much the same thing as you've been saying, Gerald. We have a wide range of fans on LakerHolics.net. There's, I'd say 1/3 of the fans are probably glass half full guys like myself. 1/3 of them are glass half empty guys who are basically saying, "See, I told you so. This has all been a mirage so far." And then you got the ones in the middle who are basically split. And most of those, I think, in the middle, at least at this point in time, are still in support of that. This is a great team, and we should not be pulling any panic stops out and so forth. So there's been a lot of conversation for it. I mean, it's kind of surprising. You usually expect a lot of blogs to explode when the team wins and everybody to just crawl back in their holes when the team loses. That hasn't been the case. We've had some great conversations going about what's happening with the team, what are the reasons why they need to focus on. A lot of criticism for the third quarter for just not having, not attacking the rim. Some criticism for AD, for example, for being a little bit too much of a finesse player when he could be a power player if he really put his mind to it. And it was interesting. I mean, one of the things that I think was really stunning that came out was for LeBron James and Anthony Davis both to make a proclamation that the Lakers are not going to lose 2 games in a row all season. That's something I think that is surprising to me because that shows a great deal of confidence because LeBron doesn't normally make proclamations like that, neither does Anthony. So it'll be interesting to see. They're going to have to walk the talk now because since they've opened their mouth and have really committed that they're going to make sure that they're not going to lose 2 games in a row. And the minute that they lose 2 games in a row, which is a very strong possibility with an 82-game season, that they're going to be called to deck on it.
Once again, I'm speaking to LakerTom. You got to be a part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.net. I cannot thank you enough for coming back after the Thanksgiving holiday, which I hope was a great one for you outside of the Lakers and the Niners loss, because like I said, they're still 17-3 and 10-2 respectively. So times can't be that hard for both teams.
No, that's true. And when I consider where we were at the same stage of the season in the last 6 seasons, either for the Niners or Lakers or the Niners, we're in good position at this point in time. It's just that there's good teams out there. These are the 450 best basketball players in the world in the NBA. And when you got guys like Luka Doncic, he can take a team to a win no matter who he's playing against. And I just give them a lot of credit. They got a great coach. They've got a team that can really compete, and they've got probably the youngest superstar in the league in Luka Doncic.
That they do, my friend, but there's still a lot more coming up this season. It is December. It is the month that everybody has been talking about and looking forward to. The plate is going to be a lot more full for the Lakers going forward, but I think they're more than up to the challenge myself as well. I think they're going to go ahead and surprise some people this month and go ahead and be very competitive. And let's go ahead and get some wins out there on the road this week. They're at Utah, they're at Portland, they're at Denver. 3 tough games on the schedule, but I'll tell you what, they're going to go ahead and shock some people out there and go ahead and make some of those pundits, I think, over the course of the next 30 days, see the Lakers in a lot different light. So as far as where they are in the pantheon of the NBA's Western Conference, and that they can compete with the likes of Denver, the Clippers, Houston, and the whole rest of the Western Conference, that they are there, that the 17-3 record is not fake, that it is a real legit record, and that they go ahead and be one of the top teams, if not the top team in the Western Conference.
I agree 100%, Gerald.
Well, all right, LakerTom, I cannot thank you enough for being a part of today's show. Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. If you have any questions for us or to reach out to LakersTom and you're not on Lakerholics.net, if you don't want to ask him there, if you want to ask him for here on the show, you can always reach out to us at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I'm so excited to see what's coming up on the road ahead for the Lakers. And please, again, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, I need that 5-star review. We need that 5-star review as much as possible so we can go ahead and be more visible to Lakers fans out there and hopefully get our show across to many, many more listeners. You've been great already. We've been already listened to a ton of downloads already, and I cannot thank enough people out there for it. But we want to get we want to get more visible out there and be able to be heard by a lot more great Lakers fans that want to know more about what's going on with our beloved Los Angeles Lakers. So, Tom, I cannot thank you enough again for being a part of the show, part of the broadcast. Any last thoughts on the way out?
No, it should be an interesting week. We'll find out. There's always these moments in a season where you find out whether your hopes are hype or whether they're really genuine hopes. I think we're going to find out in the next 3 games what this team is really made of.
I believe so as well. And you know what? Next week, we're going to go ahead and be talking about it again. We'll have a little bit better idea of what's going on with the Lakers. We'll see how mad LeBron is or how glad LeBron is coming up here this time next week after 3 tough games on the road. But you know what? I think the Lakers are more than up to the challenge. And we'll share our thoughts with you next week right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.